Hey Tyler, I thought I'd make you this little instructional video. I hope it helps a little bit, but I'm going to do two of the problems you asked for help on. So for the first one, I don't remember what number this is, but it was x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals negative 5. Okay, so for our first step, we need to move our constants so to one side. So I'm going to move this 1 over to our right side so that the x's all are on one side. So what that happens, we're going to subtract 1, so we have x squared minus 4x equals negative 5 minus 1, and that's going to be negative 6. Okay? So now we need to complete the square. And we're going to use b over 2 squared. So when we use b over 2 squared, b in this case is equal to 4, negative 4. So we have negative 4 over 2 squared, and then negative 4 over 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So we have x squared minus 4x plus 4, and then we have negative 6 plus 4, which then turns into negative 2. Alright, so now we are going to factor. So when we factor, we're factoring just this side, and it turns into x minus 2 and x minus 2 equals negative 2. Because if I do my x, we need something that multiplies to 4 but adds to negative 4. And negative 2 multiplies to 4 and it adds to negative 4. Okay? And then we can simplify this to x minus 2 squared equals negative 2. And then from here, we solve. So I'm going to take this over here. And we have x minus 2 squared equals negative 2. And I'm going to take the square root so I can get rid of that. So we have x minus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of negative 2. And then I'm going to add 2 to both sides so I can get x by itself. So then I have 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 2. Well, I can't have that negative 2 in the square root, so I need to get that out by using imaginary numbers / I. And I equals the square root of negative 1. So we can rewrite this as x equals 2 plus or minus I square root of 2. Okay, and that would be both your answers, because you have 2 plus I square root of 2 and 2 minus I square root of 2. Okay? Okay, so here's another one. So this one is when a doesn't equal 0 and a doesn't equal 1, and a is 9 in this case. So just like before, we need to move all constants to one side. And our constant in this case is 79. And so we need to move our 79 over to the right, and we need to move our 18x to the left. So I'm going to have 9x squared plus 18x equals negative 79. Okay? So now we need to do our next step, because a doesn't equal 1. We need to divide by a. So I'm going to divide by 9. So we're dividing all of this by 9. So then 9x squared divided by 9 is x squared, and then 18x divided by 9 is 2x, and then negative 79 divided by 9 is just a fraction. So we leave it as that. All right. So now we continue on like before. Now we're going to complete the square. So we're going to use b over 2 squared, and b in this case is equal to 2. So we're going to do 2 over 2 squared equals 1, because 2 over 2 equals 1, and then 1 squared is 1. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. So now we have x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then 1 plus negative 79 over 9. All right. So we can rewrite this as x squared plus 2x plus 1. I'm going to simplify 1 plus negative 79 over 9, and that is now negative 70 over 9. All right. So now we have our next step, which is to factor. So I'm going to factor this right here. So I have x plus 1, and x plus 1 equals negative 70 over 9. And that's if I do my x, I need something that multiplies to 1 and adds to 2, and 1 would solve that. And then I need to simplify, so I have x plus 1 squared equals negative 70 over 9. Alright? Alright, so now we are on our last step, and that's to solve. So we need to take the square root of both sides, and then that will cancel. So we're left with x plus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of negative 70 over 9. And then to get x by itself, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, and so I'm left with negative 1 plus or minus square root of negative 70 over 9. Well, like I said before, we can't have this negative in the square root, so we have to bring it out as I. So then we have negative 1 plus or minus I square root of 70 over 9. And that counts for both answers because we have negative 1 plus I square root of 70 over 9, and we have negative 1 minus I square root of 70 over 9. I hope this helps.